From the Dallas On Air studios in beautiful Dallas, Texas, this is Fulfillment right here on DallasOnAir.com. And now here's your hosts, the Vegabomber PJ Dunn and the film samurai Carlos Salinas.
Oh, well. Welcome, everybody. Carlos, say hello to the folks.
Morning, everybody.
Yes. So we are here again today. It's a super rainy day. It's super cold. It's dreary. It's basically like 2020 this year.
Miserable.
Absolutely. Kasek, how was your driving? You good this morning?
Come on, man. It's Dallas on Dallas on freezing. This is no good. It really is the 2020. It really is the drive of 2020. Slow, crappy, and dear God, why am I awake this early in the morning?
And in this mess driving.
Correct.
So that's it. That's the thing. And so what we thought we would do today, then, speaking of 2020, is talk about the year of 2020 in terms of movies, and perhaps mostly, since there weren't very many movies in the theaters, more of streaming services as well. Yep. And we're going to just look at what were some of the hits, what were some of the misses, and then maybe there's some that we're still just scratching our heads on. I don't know. So,
what the
fuck? What's your original thought or organic thought about just 2020?
Yeah, 2020 is, man, it's been a year. The theaters closing, not being able to see the movies we were expecting to see. You know, I wanted to see a new James Bond movie this year. You know, we didn't get to see it. A lot of these movies delayed until next year or the following year. And yeah, it's been kind of a drag for sure. I was like having withdrawals from going to the theaters, and when I finally went to go back when they finally reopened, man, it was kind of like a, breath of fresh air again.
Yeah,
I miss the theater. The theater is like my temple, my church.
Yeah,
go to watch a film and just get lost in it. The sound, the images, and yeah, I miss that.
Yeah, it's man, I never thought how much I would miss it until Friday and Saturday nights rolled around, and it was kind of like, well, what do I go do? I can't go to the movies. Yeah. I guess I better just
looking in Fandango. What's showing? Nothing.
Right. And for our show, I mean, we can't talk about box office economics. We can't talk about a lot of things.
What's
so we had to
next week and nothing.
Yeah, we had to shift that mess because of all this. So, yeah, 2020 is weird. So, I mean, since it's almost over, what do you think is going to happen with movie theaters, the film industry as a whole? What do you think?
Yeah, they're really hurting, and they're struggling, and what AT&T did with Warner Brothers as far as, the releasing new movies on this HBO Max streaming service, which they're trying to promote. Apparently it's been a big flop. And yeah, it's terrible because it's going to keep people from going to the theater, I believe. I mean, the hardcore film fans are going to go see Dune, on the big screen. They're not going to watch it at home on their iPads or their laptops,
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's hopefully, with vaccines coming and getting back to normal, I hope theaters can recover. I know there's been some, like the Look Theater here in Dallas, closed.
Yeah,
like almost
Look is
permanently.
Done. Yeah.
And that was one of my favorite theaters because they had that Dolby Atmos sound system and that 70-foot wide screen. I saw Gravity there; it was enthralling. And yeah, I'm gonna miss those big chains. I think the big chains will be okay. Cinemark appears to be okay because they're open and they're showing older movies mixed with new movies. But the new movies they have are just stuff they're just throwing out there.
Yeah,
they're keeping the big movies for next year. Like I think Wonder Woman's actually coming out on December 25th.
Yeah, coming
right?
out the Christmas Day on.
But the
on
rest
HBO
of them
Max.
are next year. They've been delayed so long. So yeah, it's a drag.
It is. And Kasek, I know you've been going to some drive-through. So how has that been for you in terms of just knowing that 2020 is just crazy? Do you like the idea of the drive-through? Can it sustain? What do you think?
Well, I mean, the drive-in I don't think is going to be sustainable because, again, not everyone can get out in this kind of weather. I mean, we're lucky in the fact that we do live in Dallas, and 10 months out of the year we have fairly decent weather. Now, it's like today. It's a terrible day out there.
Mm-hmm.
I think that drive-ins, like I said, you can go, but it's not the same experience. I mean, it's just not the same experience. And I'll get into this in my worst of 2021 segment today. But yeah, it's not the same experience because, again, like I said, it's enjoyable. Don't get me wrong. I love going to my car. I love, hanging out with, hanging outside and being outside with their folks. That's the kind of the fun novelty of it.
Yeah.
But by the same token, it's not the same experience as going to a theater. It's just not the same.
Yeah, it's going to be hard. And so what I've been trying to think about is, so what are they going to do perhaps in 2021 to try to coax people out? Because what I fear is that when people realize, hey, we can just sit at home and rent this movie and we got a nice TV and surround sound and I can just have some friends over, and although that can't compete with a 70-foot screen, you could just see some people from the convenience piece just say, well, why don't we just do this here?
Yeah, I mean, I
pay $20, to watch it on VOD or whatever, like they did with Milan.
Yeah, I personally invested in a projector this year.
Yeah.
I have the screen. I have the PA. I can make my own experience.
Yes.
I mean, home theater technology has finally advanced to the point where, hey, you're not going to be missing out too much if you just do this in your backyard.
Yeah. Wow. No, and it's true. And what I'm concerned about, Carlos, for sure, is, the millennials, the younger folks, they don't see films like the way we see films because that was all we had.
Right.
The 60s and 70s growing up, it was just the main thing to do. But now there's so many options, so many things you can download.
They
so
can get their
many
content on their iPhone, right?
Yeah, I mean,
download Netflix on your iPhone and actually watch the movies there.
Yeah, why are you watching Christopher Nolan on your iPhone?
Yeah.
that is a problem if you're doing that. Please don't do that. We'll have KSAT come and find you, and he can because of the internet.
Correct.
And he will read you the right after
Correct.
that. And I might be right there with him too, because what are you doing? What are you doing, Spock? Right? What is that? But I am scared because they don't really know what's so great about the matinee, going to see these movies in the theater, because to them everything's about mobile, and if I can have it with me, who cares if
and they watch it in bits and pieces. They'll watch 10 minutes, cut it off, go do something, come back later. I can't do that. I can't. I got to watch the movie from beginning to end. Yeah, I might take a bathroom break, run, come back, pause it for a second.
That's right.
But man, I couldn't do watch part of it in one day and then come back the next day and watch it. It's like you lose the continuity, you lose that flow, that storytelling.
It's true.
I just want to watch it, the whole thing, experience it, take it in, and at the end, just kind of stew in it a little
Absolutely.
bit. Think about it, ponder it.
Yeah.
What did I just watch?
There's just two reasons, right? There's just two reasons why you pause the movie. One to go to the bathroom and one to answer the door because the Domino's pizza guy's there and you're hungry. And you're hungry and you just need to make that transition from the couch to the door, get that pizza, pay the man, and then come back and then turn it back on and start watching again. But yeah, I'm concerned for 2021. I don't know what movie theaters will have to do to try to get people back to fight that idea of the convenience.
Yeah, they're angry with Warner Brothers, AT&T because of that. Doing that. Yeah, we're going to release it in theaters, but we're going to release it online too to give you the option. Yeah, it's great that you have an option, but that screws the theater owners and it screws the filmmakers and the actors, the crew, everybody who created that film for it to be seen on the big screen.
Yes, absolutely.
Read that letter from Dennis Villeneuve in Variety about that. He makes a lot of great points about that. It's a damn shame.
Yeah, and because I know that, was it Spielberg that said it, or maybe it was Scorsese that said that the death of movies would be just all of these superhero movies, because that's the only thing that the movie houses could make money on, is if they had them in all the different rooms. And then, but it turns out, COVID came in along with the idea that people are going to start to eventually just get burnt out on just the tentpole movies, and then the movie house is just saying, the theater's saying, well, let's just carry the big movie because we know that'll sell a lot more popcorn than if we put something on like Hell or High Water, which is a great movie that's been released in the last 10 years that wouldn't have a draw, even though it's a great
Thank God for the chains like Angelica, which will go out of their way to keep, the smaller independent films, the films that are not going to be on the big screen, on the big multiplexes. They'll have the quieter, thoughtful, more artistic films. Thank God for them. At least they're still around.
Yeah, well, we'll keep you tuned in as you guys keep watching us out there. We'll keep tracking what's happening with Hollywood and the movie theaters, and can we get out and see them, or will we just completely give in and do mostly just a streaming service and just pay a premium for it? But we'll keep watching, and you know, as long as we stick together as film fans, we'll be good, right? So you know, we'll figure this thing out. So stick with us.
Yes.
Well, we have some announcements today. The first announcement is that this will be the last show of this year for us. We will not be doing our show next in 2 weeks during the Christmas holiday. We're going to just go and enjoy Christmas with our family, but in January we'll be ready to roll again, and that will be a big time fun. And then the other announcement that we have just today is that we're going to go a little longer today because we're not going to split the show between this show and then this show in 2 weeks. So we hope that you really got your popcorn ready in your comfortable seat because we're gonna get into some good stuff today.
Hey, can I kick something before
Please.
we get into it? I do just want to kind of because, like I said, this is the Christmas season. I do need to kind of emphasize something. Our
Please.
friends that founded DallasOnAir.com, Jansen, Ray, and Kat Shensky, have a charity. It's called A Very Spidey Christmas. You can go to averyspideychristmas.com. What they do is they go out into the poor communities of Dallas, and they dispense toys to kids dressed as Spider-Man, Spider-Girl. This year they got Spider-Dog. It's going to be amazing.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
But like I said, this year, like I said, they're kind of expanding their way of doing things because they're also going to be including some essentials, wipes and disinfectants and cleaning supplies and things like that, toilet paper and things like that. Basically, basic necessities that folks need right now. Mm-hmm. You can get involved by going to averyspideychristmas.com. There you see the address. You can donate there. You can also find out locations here in the Metroplex where you can drop off toys in drop boxes. Like I said, you can get involved and you can help bring Christmas to some of the poor folks here in the DFW area just by going to that space, by donating. Just basically help folks out that really could use holiday this year. This has been kind of a rough one. It's been a rough year. I mean,
it has been.
And this is an opportunity for you to make someone's Christmas better. So please go to averyspideychristmas.com, donate through the GoFundMe, donate through the Facebook, and of course, like I said, spread the word about this really wonderful charity. They just got their 501c3, so if you do make donations, they will be tax deductible. In addition to that, we were on CBS 11. It's just a really great opportunity for you to bring Christmas to folks in the DFW Metroplex who could really, really use it. It's a wonderful thing to watch, kids light up and see Spider-Man bringing them toys. It's a really very cool thing.
Absolutely.
So please do us all a favor. Go to averyspideychristmas.com, donate, and help us bring Christmas to folks who need it.
Very true. And, it's always better to give than receive in a lot of ways.
Absolutely.
And so that's what you should do. And if you can, and you're in that space to be able to do so, give generously. Don't give just because of a tax deduction. Do it because there's people really in need and people who would really, the face would change. Their disposition on the face would change just to see someone who they don't know, a complete stranger, just walk up and say, "Here, I want to gift this to you, and I expect nothing in return." Mm-hmm. I mean, that is a wonderful thing to give. So I would second that completely. So with that, we're going to jump into, film fans, our first topic of the day. So we're going to look at the 5 best films because we're positive here. We're going to start with the best films first. Then we'll eventually talk about the worst films, and then we have a special surprise at the end that we want to sit in and hold on for. So let's get into it. The best 5 films, and I'm going to start with the film cinema.
We're going to go one at a time on these, right?
Yeah, we'll go one around the round.
All right.
Okay, one at a time then.
Yes.
Okay.
One.
I'll start with number 5.
Okay.
The Way Back. This is directed by Gavin O'Connor. It was one of the last of the first movies that I went to see in theaters. It stars Ben Affleck. He was a high school phenom basketball player.
I remember this.
Yeah, this is a movie where it's got kind of a lot of cliches and tropes of the person trying to redeem themselves by doing something. And in this case, there's been some tragedy in this character's life. And he's asked by his old parish, who's a Catholic school, to come coach their basketball team. And of course, they've only got the bare minimum of players. Mm-hmm. And the ones they have, they've got a few guys that are decent. but it takes him to coach these kids into a winning team. And the performance by Affleck is very raw, and you could tell, if anybody knows anything about Ben Affleck, he's had some drinking problems himself. He's had some issues. He's gone through a divorce, and I wouldn't say this is exactly like him, but he probably took a lot from his own life and put it into this role, and you can tell.
Okay.
There's some great sequences in it where it's like a guy at his low point, where his routine is he'll crack a beer out of the freezer, put another one in there, go drink it, and then when he finishes that one, he goes and gets that one, puts another beer in the freezer, so the his eyes go. And by the end of the night, he's like passed out on the couch.
Wow.
But
so you're saying he has a system down?
Yeah, he has a system down, exactly. And I guess he gets through all the beers, but it's a very, very well done, very well told story. Gavin O'Connor is a great director. You don't notice. He's not an auteur, he doesn't put a lot of style into like, say, a De Palma or something like that. But he's more of a storyteller, very thoughtful, very genuine, dialogue and characters.
So it's not that much about basketball, really, as it is about him.
It's more about life and more about instilling, things into the kids and how he overcomes what he thought, his life was over. Mm-hmm. It's not really over, There's other things happening. So,
So you can get to watch the renewal go on as he renews his life and things get better. No, that's cool. That's very cool. Mm-hmm. How about you, Zach?
All right. To start with, I'm going to go with Guy Ritchie's The Gentleman. This was a really, really fun Guy Ritchie film. I mean, this is not Guy Ritchie trying to do King Arthur. This is not Guy Ritchie, trying to make Madonna look good. This is Guy Ritchie doing what he does best: an in-depth, crime action drama with a fantastic cast: Charlie Hunnam, Matthew McConaughey, Hugh
Grant. Hugh Grant steals that movie.
Colin Farrell, everyone just kind of gets out of themselves in this one.
Yes.
But again, like I said, the timing, the pacing, the action, all of it hits on all cylinders. It's just a really, really fun crime movie, and it is Guy Ritchie doing what he does best: British crime drama.
Yes, those accents.
Yeah. And again, getting the in-depth plot and having the reveals and things like that. It's just really, really fun. And again, like I said, in this kind of year, this is kind of that. Yes, this is what I want to go see a film in. This is what lights me up.
Okay,
because it is just a really fun Guy Ritchie ride.
Yep.
And when he's hitting all cylinders, he's great.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and totally you saw this too, didn't you?
Oh yeah. I saw it I saw it in 2019. Or I think it was at the end of December, but I bought it as soon as it came out and watched it again. I just loved it. Yeah. That dialogue is just fantastic. I love Guy Ritchie.
The dialogue is spot on every single time, man.
See, you gotta love that, and I definitely like the characterization.
Very
they
stylized.
Have to be full, and I know Guy Ritchie has his deal that he does with dialogue that I think is pretty interesting as well.
A lot of black humor in it too.
Mm-hmm. A lot of that dark humor in there. Mm-hmm. One of the films, so I had a hard time in 2020 doing this list, trying to pick the best. Yeah, because some of these are good, but I wouldn't call them the best.
Right.
You know what I mean? So there's a lot of, so on my list, I'm going to have some good films and then maybe one or two that I really thought were the best. So I'm going to start mine with Tenet. So the natural word that's a palindrome, a word that you can read forward and backward and it says the same thing. Mm-hmm. And so Tenet, I thought, was once again just Christopher Nolan showing you his craft. I mean, the way he takes lateral thinking, but then sets it up in a nonlinear pattern that you have to follow with the twists and the turns, I think is pretty spectacular. And this film, I think it came out in, September 3rd is when it finally got released. So since everybody was talking about the money and what would happen in the theaters, it had a budget of $205 million, but it did make at least $359 million. So it did make some money. So you have John David Washington, Denzel Washington's son in this, Robert Pattinson, who's going to be Batman, as we understand now, and Elizabeth Debicki and Kenneth Branagh, who directed Thor, the first Thor. So
But going back to that box office thing, it made a bunch of money because it was honestly one of the only things that was in a friggin' theater.
That's exactly right.
When COVID, when they finally said, "Hey, we're going to open up the theaters," this is what came out. This is the first thing that hit.
And believe it or not, it's considered a bomb because it didn't make $1 billion. You know, right?
Yeah.
Can you imagine if there was no pandemic, how many people would have gone to see that movie?
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
yeah.
and that's the one thing that we'll never know. But I guess the geeks will pull out the calculators and try to make estimates based off of things. But yeah, it should have done a lot better than that for sure.
Well, now you guys saw it in the theater. I mean, you guys both saw it in the theater.
Saw it twice in theaters. Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
needed to be seen in that format.
absolutely.
Yes, it did.
Saw it in
Absolutely.
IMAX on one sitting, and then the other one, it was just a big sound system in it. So yeah, I kind of experienced it 2 different ways.
Yeah, yeah. Now I will say this isn't my favorite Christopher Nolan film at all, and it's only because he has so many great films that it's that he has in his ledger. But it's, I would say that still, with what we needed in 2020 and what was going on, I think this was a very capable film. I don't know that I need to buy it necessarily, but I probably will because I'm a completist and I'll have to have all my my Christopher Nolan films together. Right. But it probably won't be watched as much as maybe I'll watch perhaps The Dark Knight or Inception or something like that. But I still thought it was a good time, and so I think for 2020. Again, everything's so weird in 2020. This film was entertaining, and this is a film that you have to see it regardless of whether you're really going to get into it or not. And I think that in terms of the acting performances, I was surprised. I didn't think Robert Pattinson would be as convincing as he was, but he sold me on it. And I thought Denzel Washington's son, I love watching him because he's growing. You've seen him get better and better and better. And every time I watch the film, I'm always watching to see if he's going to act like his dad or sound like his dad. And there's certain scenes where he does sound exactly like his dad.
And seriously, he's even got the walk, sort of. That little Denzel strut, sort of. He's just a very cool actor, man.
Yes, sir. So I will say that was probably one of my best. How about you?
Yeah, that was going backwards. That would be my number 4. And to jump on what you said, yeah, the story. The thing I love about Christopher Nolan is the way he tells a story, and this one, it was just it seems like he's always trying to top himself, right?
Yeah.
Every time he wants to do something completely different. All his themes are with time, and this one is time going forwards and backwards, and then meeting and then going in the opposite direction. And I thought it was just brilliant. And like you said, the acting. And another thing I found great about the film was the humor in it. It had a lot of subtle humor, not over the top Marvel type humor, but just certain subtle little things. That great restaurant scene where he goes and meets Michael Caine, and Michael Caine orders and he orders, and then he has a real short meeting with him, and then he's about to leave, and they're about to bring him his food, and he says, "Can you box that up for me?" And it's a very super fancy British restaurant.
Yes.
And absolutely not, just cracked up in the middle of the theater. And also the music, the score was fantastic. It kind of was a sort of an experimental type score to me. It was not the typical Hans Zimmer. It was not Hans Zimmer. It was another composer, but man, I loved it. And I can't wait to get it and watch it again at home. I definitely will buy it and definitely will watch it again because there's things you will catch. This is one of those movies where you'll catch something different every time
I
you
believe.
watch it. Yeah. So yeah, Tenet was definitely on my top 5.
Cool. How about you, KZ?
All right. So coming back to me on this one, my next one that I picked was. Not necessarily the greatest film, but it was a film that we kind of needed, and that's Bill and Ted Face the Music.
Okay.
Now, like I said, it's not a great film, but it's a really fun film. It is a film that you can watch with everyone in your household. Alex Winter and Keanu Reeves. I never thought I'd say that. Put the performances that really bring this film to life. It's a film with heart. The actresses that they have playing their daughters are fantastic. It has enough tropes to where it plays fan service to the prior two films. But again, like I said, it really kind of leaps in and plays with time and music and things like that. And again, I chose this film because it's fun. It was a fun. It was a fun film to watch at home. It was a fun film to go watch in the theater if you watched it. It was a fun film that you could enjoy with everyone in the household and expose them to something like, "Hey, I really enjoyed this when I was younger. Now here's for you." And again, it is a wonderful passing of generations. And like I said, the performances are what they are, which is Keanu Reeves, I'm not a fan of Keanu Reeves. I'm not a fan of Keanu Reeves. Everyone knows I do not like the man's performances. A great human being, lots of actor.
You didn't like him as Dracula?
Oh, man.
He's great.
Oh, he's great in Shakespeare. There's very much to do about nothing. He can pluck his eyes so we don't get bummed. It's just how... I am constantly mystified how he gets work, but by the same token, this is the movie that... Okay, this is Ted Theodore Logan is specifically who you were meant to play. You are perfect for this role. And even then, he looks bored in it. He looks bored. He's not... But I mean, he's not shooting bad guys. He's not a guy in a black suit trying to save the world. He is a guy being cheerful and just being absolutely stupid. And that's the fun chemistry that comes with the Bill and Ted films. Because again, it is these two idiots doing absolutely dumb things, and they're hysterical.
Yeah,
and they always kind of have been.
Yeah,
you go back and watch Bogus Journey, and you see the fun, and you go back and watch Excellent Adventure, and it still holds up. And you get Kristen Schaal in the role that George Carlin was playing, and it's comedians that hold up. It's just still fun.
Yeah,
and it's a franchise that was worth coming back. 30 years later, and seeing these guys at middle age and struggling with everything. Is like, we're all struggling with this. I get it. You didn't live up to your potential. I get it. You're passing it. You're trying to do better for your kids. I get it. It hits in the right generations, and it hits across all ages. So I chose this one because it's just fun. It's just a fun movie, and it's a fun movie that we needed this year.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, yes. Because otherwise, I will have to break out Strange Brew and watch that again.
I'll put that on anyway.
Yes, I love that movie. I love Rick Moranis in that movie. That movie's hilarious to me.
I still love that film. It's Hamlet.
Yes, it absolutely is. And in fact, that's what we'd have to do. We have to have a day where we just sit down and we got to put on Strange Brew and just watch it. Right? You just have to, right?
All about it.
That is going to happen. So I would say now this movie did impress me a lot as well. And so my next pick for best of 2020 is a movie that came out in July. Stars everybody's favorite actor, Tom Hanks, and this is the movie Greyhound. As you guys know, I'm a history buff, so I love this particular movie talking about that World War II naval battle, where here Tom Hanks is playing a Navy commander, Ernest Krause, and this is his first mission. Yeah. So his first mission he runs ends up being in the big Battle of the Atlantic campaign, which was the longest and the largest and most complex battle in history, right? That's what you will find when you go read the history books about this one. And so Tom Hanks, again, just the close-up shots, just he doesn't have to say things. Just you can see the fear, the dread when those German U-boats are coming, and they start to figure that out. If you haven't watched, what is it, U-57... 571. Yes, you have to watch that to get a little. If you don't know much about submarines, but this here, the explosions, the intensities of the battle. What this is like almost Saving Private Ryan from the intensity level, because there's about 40 minutes of it that you understand. Okay, they got to set some things up, but then once you see the battles and once those U-boats start showing up and then they start seeing the screen, I mean, you're actually terrified of what's going to happen to this poor guy because you love him, but this is his first mission out. What's he going to do? And he's the commander on top of it. So I love the tension that's in this movie. And I think that Tom Hanks, former comedian, great actor, he can play tension really, really well. And he can make you go, man, he's such a good guy. I want to see him win. And not just him, obviously, but his whole team, the whole squadron. But the idea that Tom Hanks is just sitting there, you feel it. from just watching him without even having to see all the other ancillary characters. And then, of course, when you see them, they sell their pieces too. So he's in this. He's got Elizabeth Shue playing his wife. Stephen Graham's in this movie as well, George Cleveland. And they took this, adapted this from the book called The Good Shepherd. And that's where they got a lot of this. And I think Aaron Schneider is the director, but I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I think Tom Hanks actually did write or did a piece to help along with the screenplay, if I'm not mistaken. But great film this year. I was very happy to see Greyhound, and it came out in July. Right?
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I mean, this is a film that I watched on Disney Plus when I first got it, and man, I was really blown away by the quality of it. And it immediately made me think, God, I would have loved to have seen this on the big screen.
Yes.
With the sound and the fury and the visuals and everything. And it's a testament to the training that these guys did, because it was all instinct, right?
Oh, my gosh.
It was just, okay, turn the boat this way to avoid, the torpedo, and narrowly misses them by fractions of a few feet, And, great film. Totally agree with you on that.
Yeah, it's like in Fury, you got a great tank battle. Here, you got a great submarine and warship battle that just, it's great. So that was my number 4. What about you, Carlos?
Yeah, my number 3 was Netflix original. It was, of the 5, it was the one movie I did not see in theaters because it was not in theaters. But I got to see it on Netflix as soon as it came out. Is Charlie Kaufman's I'm Thinking of Ending Things. And it's I believe it's taken from a book, and it's a very literary piece, I believe. And I just enjoyed the quirkiness of it. It was a very odd film. There's a lot of ways to interpret the film, the way that it's told, and it's basically a very simple story of a girl and a guy going to visit his parents in a small town, and they live way out, and it's the middle of winter, and there's snow and ice, and they got to get back before it gets really bad, and she's got to do something the next day. So there's a lot of angst and tension, and then it's almost like she's questioning her own reality at a certain time. And it kind of reminded me of that other movie with Jim Carrey and Kate Winslet.
Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
It's that type of film.
Really?
Yeah, it's very imaginative and
yeah, because it is written and directed by Charlie Kaufman.
Exactly. So it's very heartbreaking in a way, but the characters are so well done. The actress who played the lead was just fantastic, and I wouldn't be surprised if she gets nominated for Academy Award for this role. But yeah, it was just kind of like one of those movies. It's very long though. It will test your attention span.
Wow.
But I've actually watched it twice and loved it both times. And yeah, and once you watch it the first time, okay, you see all these things the way it plays out, and then watching it again, it's interesting to see the little pieces that lead up to the end again. And I always like doing that with certain films, especially something like this. So yeah, it was just definitely on my top 5 for just the quality of it, the writing, the characters, and the acting.
Wow.
And the music as well. It's just beautiful.
Huh. All right, I've got that down because I saw it, but I wasn't necessarily convinced that it was something that I probably need to see. But right now, Quirky's good.
It's definitely not for everybody. It's one of those films that kind of like,
Yeah, you've got to be a Charlie Kaufman fan to watch a Charlie Kaufman film.
Right.
It just is what it is.
Yeah.
It's kind of like Rob Zombie. You either like it or you don't. You either like it or you don't. You either like that filmmaker or you don't. Because again, if you're just going in for a casual watch, this is not that film.
This is not that film.
But if you're going in for an in-depth, surreal, weird ride, around a familiar trope. Yeah. That's what Charlie Kaufman does. I mean, being John Malkovich, Eternal Sunshine, it's amazing what the guy puts together.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. I'll think about that.
Be in to sit in your seat for a really long time and watch the film.
Watch the film. Okay. Well, I'll remember not to pause it when I get up and go to the bathroom because I probably won't miss anything. Right? How about you, K-Zach?
All right. So again, kind of going around the rules here. The next pick was not necessarily a film, but it was the best cinematic thing I saw on television, and that was season 4 of Fargo. Noah Hawley really knocks it out of the park with this season because everything in it's cinematic, broad landscapes, small camera pictures. I mean, he really takes the Coen brothers style of filmmaking and puts it on a small screen. Everything counts in this. Everything counts in this television show. Because everything on screen is just amazing. The performances from people, like Jason Schwartzman, from Chris Rock.
Okay.
It's a period piece, and I mean, there's great camera angles. There's great, aspects and things like that. It's really just one of the best things I've seen cinematically all year, and it's a television show.
Wow.
And it kind of really speaks to the power that filmmakers making television really can do. I mean, if you take a look at any episode of The Mandalorian, because you have some really heavy hitters making those episodes, like Robert Rodriguez and Jon Favreau, Bryce Dallas Howard making her directorial debut, it counts cinematically. And that's kind of, I think, been the boon of all this, is the fact that you have filmmakers who can't make films making television. And it's really, really good television. Fargo Season 4 is no exception because every bit of it counts. Every performance, every aspect of, every certain interweaving plot line. Like I said, it's as complex as a Coen Brothers film, but it's playing out over, 12 or 13 episodes, hour and a half long. It's getting into a point where, you're getting a small mini film every week. And it's really just a good hour and 20 minutes of television every week. And like I said, with Fargo, Fargo, every year it changes form. So you don't have to have watched the first season of Fargo to get the value of the fourth season of Fargo. But if you do watch them, you kind of see all the little inlays and ways that they kind of interweave those past storylines, and they bring in other Coen brother movies and things like that. It's always fun to search for those little Easter eggs in it. Because, like I said, if you know the Coen brothers universe, you start to catch a whole lot of those jokes. They catch lines from Raising Arizona. There's film angles from things like Miller's Crossing and Oh Brother Where Art Thou, and things like that. You kind of catch those little details if you know those films in and out. And Fargo Season 4 is really one of those that you really have to pay attention. But everything that you're watching, you are paying attention to because it's just such compelling television. Fargo Season 4 on FX was really knocked it out of the park. I cannot recommend that series strong enough because it really is a small piece of cinema on a small screen.
Wow. Okay. Well, I can see why you would make that distinction and add that in there. It sounds like it's pretty exciting. I don't think I've watched an episode of Fargo. I've always heard great things about it. It's just one of those things I just never got around to.
First season's so good.
Yeah. Okay.
It's just entertaining, and it's that real black humor too. So,
Yeah.
and very violent. And
super dark, super violent. But man, is it amazing!
Billy Bob Thornton is in the first one. Who's
Martin Freeman.
Yeah.
Yeah, and,
so funny.
And I mean every season tells a different story. So you could probably binge watch it over a weekend, and you'd catch a full season and get a full story and things like that.
Right.
But and of course there's callbacks in every season. So it's just fantastic.
Yeah, it sounds like it was crafted well. I definitely will have to check that out.
Yeah, and again, Noah Hawley, the guy who did Squid and the Whale and things like that, he's the guy. He's the mind behind it. He's going to be the showrunner, which he's actually going to be showrunning. I think a Star Wars show for Disney Plus. If you caught that big investor promo thing earlier this week,
I didn't, but I've heard about it.
Oh yeah. There's a lot to look forward to. There's a lot to look forward to from the studios because they said, okay, we got you at home. Now we're really going to get you at home.
Yeah.
So
that will be some of the good that can come out of this, right? Because 2020 has some crazy stuff. Well, I did choose one. I got another one as well, and again, surprised by this one. But it's a movie directed by Rod Lurie, and it's called The Outpost. And again, I'm giving myself away with my history and loving the war battles. So this one, if you remember, took place in Afghanistan, just 14 miles from the border of Pakistan. Oh. And we have this small American contingent there that Obama was trying to pull out. But the Army left a small unit of about 53 guys who are in this valley where there's 3 huge mountains around them and nothing but Taliban coming at them. So this is like 300 because it's like, but it's 53 Americans and you got about 400 to 450 Taliban coming to this area and they're pinned down because where are you going to go? You're in the valley and they're coming from the mountains. And so you have to watch this now. And so you're caught up and it has 2 famous sons in this. Clint Eastwood's son is in this. Scott Eastwood, he plays Staff Sergeant Clint Romesha. I don't want to say his name wrong because he's an American hero. So he's playing a guy who has his dad's first name. And Mel Gibson's son is in this as well. Milo Gibson is in this. And then Orlando Bloom. Yeah. But I think the standout actor here was a guy named Caleb Landry Jones. I didn't know much for, but
he's a British actor. Yeah.
Yes. Oh, and so when you imagine what they do here is this, the normal stand-up is, okay, here's these guys, they're getting set up and all this bad stuff happens. But what they do is they decide to focus on showing kind of how the military was the hubris of the military and this, how the stupidity of the strategy even was of this, which is usually pretty wild. And so this happened at Camp Keating. So this was one of those things that was, to watch this film, you were immersed in it because as you sat back and watched these guys, you're getting mad, first of all.
Right.
Because you're getting mad that these guys, yes,
fucking hell.
Yes, you're getting mad.
Why are these guys in this situation?
Yes, why are they in this situation? And then when you see how outnumbered and what was happening, what I loved in this is they showed the strategy in this. Because a lot of times it's just a bunch of bad guys shooting at you.
Again, the training, right?
Mm-hmm. Here, what they were doing was this was shot, and I think this was truthful. This is what it came from. I think it was adapted from a book as well. But what these guys were doing was they would shoot something on the left side of the camp to see how the left side of the camp would react, then the right, and then the center, and then they would shoot different calibers just to see how they would respond first. And so can you imagine you're just out there, it's a normal day, and pow! It's just one single shot. That's it. And you're all getting ready for the ambush to come, but that's not what's happening. They're just testing. And you're going, well, who was that? All right. And then another one. And then another way they did it on other days to where they kind of coaxed them into, okay, you can't relax, but at the same time, it's only 1 bullet, so don't get too excited. So it plays this real mental game with them in that way. And then finally, when they finally figured out how to take them out, they just start coming. And when they start climbing over, it's like when you watch Lone Survivor, you feel the same way for these guys. And this movie got me straight up into it again. And I just love these kind of films because you're looking at going, well, what are you going to do? Like, how? So these guys are making this up, like you were saying earlier. They're just making it up on the fly. Yeah. They have no idea what positions these people are at, even though they're good at that. They can only just tell by just the sound and how it's echoing in the valley. And then, of course, they're just going, is it real or is this a test? Are they testing us or is this the real onslaught of them coming down? So it's a very intense movie in that way. And I thought that the acting was done great. And Clint Eastwood's son, you can tell. There's a line in there where he just sits there and goes, well, I guess we're not going to run, are we? It's like, and you just
totally imagine Clint Eastwood saying that line in another movie.
I say we light the effers up, right? It's just like, as you see these guys demoralized, he's the only one that's still like, come get me. It's so Scarface, you want me? Come and get me. He's still the guy, doing that. So Outpost was actually surprisingly good.
Awesome. Yeah, I got that on my list to watch. I'll definitely watch it soon. It sounds awesome the way you talk about it. Sometimes it just takes that little somebody else talking about the movie to get you like, oh, okay, I really got to see it now.
What's another one for you?
Okay, another one for me was Possessor. This is directed by Brandon Cronenberg, and this is David Cronenberg's son. And man, he did not fall far from the tree.
Really?
His films are very high quality. He's only done a few films, but I've seen them all, and they've all been excellent as far as production design and just the quality of the film. And this one is his best, of course, I think.
Okay.
It's sci-fi, very hyper violent, man. It's very bloody. I mean, the blood cost in this movie must have been astronomical. The budget for it, because there's a lot of it, and it's very clever concept, and it's very it's very futuristic, and it's basically about assassins, but the way assassins, it'll kind of remind you a little bit of Matrix in a way.
Really?
How somebody can go into somebody else's body, take over, use that body as an assassin, kill somebody, and then come out of it. Meanwhile, they're back in a lab, with this big, huge helmet on. Mm-hmm. And the striking thing about this movie is the ending. And of course, I won't give it away or anything, but man, it'll leave you like, like one of those kind of films. Like, I love films like that just kind of at the end, they leave you with a real heavy feeling of, I just saw something pretty neat and pretty interesting, and what is going to happen next, but they stop it at the perfect time. And it's so well done, and he's a filmmaker that I definitely will watch everything he comes out with, and you will look forward to whatever he comes out with next. So it's that type of film for me. I love sci-fi, and if it's violent, it's even better. Because it's one of those things. I just always been fascinated with violence in films, and this is just like, it's like perfectly made.
Yeah, like how far can you push that, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I think that's great. How about you, Zach?
All right, so the next film that I chose was a film that we talked about earlier in the year. It's a 2018 film, but made its way over to America in 2020, and it's a Korean film called One Cut of the Dead. This
comedy, right?
It is a zombie comedy.
Talked about this,
It's a zomcom, but shot for $25,000. It's made It made $27 million in its home country of Japan, and $30 million worldwide. So it broke every possible box office record, because basically it was just made as a student film. And just it got such a warm reception after airing at film festivals, and made its way across the world. It really does kind of turn. It takes a zombie movie and it turns it on its head. It really does. Because we've all seen the zombie film. We've all seen it. We've all seen the violence and things like that. This one is one that you haven't seen. To start off with, the first half of the movie, the first act of the film, it's 37 minutes, and it's a zombie television show caught in one take. 37 minutes straight. What they did with 1917, they did with these guys in 6 takes over 8 days. They basically shot a whole zombie movie in 37 minutes, straight one take, and it's absolutely amazing. And what you come to find out is that, after people saw this 37 minutes, the credits roll, they show credits and things like that, and people start leaving the theater. But wait, you're not done, because then you get to find out how this crew came to be shooting a zombie film. And it turns out there's a TV show going on, and the concept is, okay, we're going to shoot this whole thing live. We're going to shoot a zombie movie live, and it turns into a family film, and like I said, it's a story about a crew being shooting a zombie film and then having zombies invade that crew, and it just turns the whole thing on its head, and it turns into basically it not only turns into a zombie movie, a 37-minute cut, but also a really great family film, and also the power of getting something done. If you have Shudder, check out the Joe Bob Briggs version of watching the movie, because in addition to it, he really gives the greatest speech I've probably heard in years on what it means to be an independent filmmaker, what it means to absolutely get your film out. Push that thing through, see it through. You're a filmmaker. This goes to show we can take $25,000 a week and make $27 million, and it just goes to show you, like I said, why you should support independent film, why you should. And if you want to make films, make films. It's the Kevin Smith thing. If you want to make it happen, make it happen. It's the Robert Townsend Hollywood Shuffle thing. You want to make it happen, make it happen. Max out your credit cards, do what you got to do.
That's right. Hire your friends.
If your art is important to you, make that art. Get it out there. And it's just really a wonderful speech on it. But again, like I said, this goes to show you what you can do if you really want to make a film.
Nice.
So
super
like I
nice.
said, One Cut of the Dead. It's now Shudder exclusive. Do absolutely check that one out.
Okay. Well, I'm going to have to check it out because I'm not that familiar with zomcoms. but I will have to check it out. I think there's some room to grow in that space.
Yeah.
Zombie movies, there's some more ideas they can do. So this sounds like this might be pretty
It
fun.
absolutely
Train to
is.
Busan is a good one to watch if you
Yeah.
never, if you've never seen.
Okay.
it's good. You've seen it, right, Zach?
I haven't seen it yet.
you haven't seen
everyone
it?
tells
What?
Everyone tells me to watch
What?
this movie.
Dude,
What's
Train to Busan.
happening? What's
Now
happening?
I've heard the sequel to it is no good. It's called Peninsula, but watch Train to Busan.
Peninsula.
It's very high impact and very tense and very
Okay.
It's like a chase movie but zombies. And
Everyone who I talk to has told me who has seen that film says you really need to watch this one. So it's definitely going to be on my list for sure.
See there. Well, I have one that definitely made my list. This is actually a pleasant surprise. And again, I'm going back to history again, but this one isn't a war movie necessarily, although I guess you could talk about it because the Vietnam War was going on, but it's the trial of the Chicago 7.
yeah.
So I thought this was great. So Aaron Sorkin directed this. He also wrote the screenplay for this. And just the dialogue in this one alone. And so it stars Sacha Baron Cohen, Eddie Redmayne, Michael Keaton's in it. And I forget the actor who played Bobby Seale from the Black Panthers, but that guy was good too. It was Abdul something the second, but it's slipping me. But I thought this was great, covering the events of the 1969 trial of those 7 defendants that were charged by the government for a conspiracy on several things, not just one thing, and then how they just chose to pick them up. And so this is interesting because as you're watching this film, you're trying to figure out who are the real villains, because they're both kind of doing some stuff on either side to do things. And of course, we remember the part where it was all about, hey, did the military fire on those college students, or did the college students provoke them? And how that got caught on film, and that was such a big thing. And it was all about how people felt about the Vietnam War, people trying to express themselves. You had the whole hippie thing going on. But I thought the humor here was super good. So Sacha Baron Cohen's character.
Yeah. Abby Hoffman.
Yeah, Abby Hoffman. Oh my gosh, just some of the quips back and forth between him and the judge and what they were doing was pretty hilarious for how serious this was.
Who's the actor that played their lawyer? He's really good too.
Oh yeah, no, I know exactly what you're talking about.
He was in Steven Spielberg movie. I can't remember his name. But yeah, they're all great.
Yeah, and it's scary because things to me that are real scary is when there's truth in it.
Yeah, exactly.
And when you realize that people can set you up to look a certain way and then package it as something completely different to the American public, to where now you're the villain when really they're the villain for what they're doing. But yeah, and I thought
it still says a lot about what goes on today too.
Yes.
Right? Very topical.
yes,
It's like the more things change, the more they stay the
the
same.
more they stay the same. Yeah. So if you like courtroom dramas as well, this is a good courtroom drama in there. And I think when you watch it, you just can't stop watching because you're trying to wonder, well, who's gonna go first with the retaliation? Will it be the police? Will it be the politicians? Will it be all the college students that are trying to band together?
And all they wanted was a permit.
Yes.
To protest, and they didn't even want to be there at the convention. They were willing to do it at a park,
Yes.
blocks away, but they kept denying. So they said, "We're just going to come anyway,
Yeah.
do it." And then, of course, it caused all this tension and rioting. And
Yeah. So if you haven't seen it, you've got to watch The Trial of the Chicago 7. I think it's really good. It came out in September, and it is a fantastic courtroom drama as well as just a drama itself. And just the end, you have to stay to the end and watch the credits to see what happened to each and every one of those individuals that they were trying to charge.
especially that judge, piece of shit.
God, that judge was horrible. So, and that was a great scene in there too, how the judge was really forcing Bobby Seale's character from the Black Panther, just the way he said, yeah, take him away and you know what to do with him, and brought him back with the tape over his mouth. And just, I was like, wow.
Yeah, are you really going to do that?
Yeah, you're really going to do that with what
And the
was
guy's
going
lawyer
on?
wasn't even there, right?
Yeah.
And he was only there at the actual event for an hour and left. You know,
Yeah.
he wasn't with these guys. He was not part of their group or anything. It's just like, God, it's
Oh,
a
man,
miscarriage of justice.
Yeah, the miscarriage of justice was fantastic to watch, because you're saying, I'm glad that's not me. But now I know that kind of thing can happen. So that's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
What about you, Carlos? Are we getting close?
All right, number one,
Yes.
best of the year is David Fincher's Mank. Love this
Yep.
film. Oh my God. Yeah, definitely surprised. I had a feeling I might not like it because there was so much hype on Twitter
Yeah.
about it. And of course, a new Fincher movie is always an event. What's he going to do? It kind of like, I was kind of skeptical. Also, is like, okay, it's not a theatrical film per se. Although I did see it in a theater, it was on at the Angelica for a few weeks, and they do this to make the film eligible for Oscars. It has to be shown in theater, New York and Los Angeles, for so many weeks.
Yeah.
And of course they did it. And fortunately, yes, they brought it here to Dallas as well. Got to see it on the big screen. It's in black and white. It is probably one of the best written films of the year. I hope this film gets a Oscar for screenplay. Actor Gary Oldman for Best Actor. I'm sure he's going to be nominated for sure. I wouldn't be surprised if he won, because there's really no competition really.
Yeah.
But
it's kind of sad too.
man, just the dialogue. There's no wasted scenes in this movie. It just jumps from great scene to great scene to performance to interaction and character, and everybody made a big deal about, okay, how truthful is it about Mankiewicz's writing the script for Citizen Kane. It really is not even about that. It is about that, yes, but you don't need to even care about that, or you don't even need to have watched Citizen Kane to get it, the movie, enjoy it, the way it is. It's just so well done. It was just, I was blown away by it, and I'll definitely watch it again.
Mank, you said it was black and white, right?
Mank, yes, yeah, and it's shot in that old style of Hollywood, and even the sound, the way they recorded the sound, they wanted to even make it sound like it was filmed back then in the 50s.
Wow, that's some good detail.
The grandiose Louis B. Mayer, David Mankiewicz.
When studios were the thing, the contract players, the actors only worked for this studio, or this actress only worked for that studio. They were contracted. They only made films for Universal or Warner Brothers, MGM. The giants. Irving Thalberg, those guys. And it gives a little bit of that old Hollywood history, if you're into that. I always enjoy that kind of stuff. The Aviator, Scorsese's Aviator. I love that movie because Howard Hughes, he wanted to be a filmmaker as well. He was super rich.
Yeah.
In this case, it was William Randolph Hearst. He made his millions in newspaper business, but he also wanted to become a filmmaker as well. Or he produced films, and but yeah. It's really good.
Mank. Okay.
Mank.
We're
It's
gonna
on
roll with
Netflix. You can watch it anytime you want.
We will roll with that then. How about you, Kazak?
All right, so
What's the pinnacle for you of 2020?
All right, so honestly, if I'm gonna pick a film for 2020, it's gonna be this one. It's a Shudder original called Host.
Host.
Okay, so it's basically, if you look at it on its surface, you would look over this film, like you wouldn't even give it a moment's notice. It's 57 minutes long, and it's a found footage.
Wait,
film.
they couldn't even go an hour?
Not
Even with credits?
even with credits, 57 minutes.
Damn.
It's a found footage horror film. Now,
It's called Host.
people hate this, but once you watch
Should call it short.
But once you watch it like it's intended to be watched on, because it's intended to be watched on your computer with a set of headphones. Because what it is, it's a bunch of college friends who get together for a Zoom call. And during the Zoom call, they do a seance. They awaken something terrible, and they don't take it seriously.
No, I'm not going to watch this.
No.
I
I
don't like seances.
Spell seance, please.
Too scary.
SEANCE. But things go awry, but as you watch the whole thing unveil, because you're seeing all 6 things happen all at once, and it got 100% on Rotten Tomatoes, and it's just the 57-minute runtime means that they actually make it effective. There's no wasted motion in this horror film. Because there's no useless exposition. There's not long drawn out performances. It's just basically a Zoom call that happens right in front of you, and it's terrifying.
When did this
especially
come
out? This came out this year on it's a Shudder original, and I believe, of course, it's Shudder exclusive. But man, just watching it unfold in front of you, it's terrifying. It really is terrifying. Now, like I said, I'm not a found footage guy, but this was really just an effective horror film.
Really,
and that's the thing is that, so much of it like you said, with Cronenberg's film. Like I said, there's a lot of like visual stuff here. So like I said, it's some of what you see, some of what you don't see, but also, like I said, every moment in the movie counts. Because, like I said, you've got 57 minutes, and again, in a short attention span world, the most horrifying thing is a Zoom call.
Yeah,
because we all hate video conferences. This is the worst video conference call ever.
And it probably plays to your imagination of what you don't see, right? Those are some of the most effective horror films, is what you don't see.
Exactly.
What you don't see,
What is
exactly.
that? What is that?
And again, if you're watching it like it should be watched, with not on the big screen. This is actually a small screen. Watch it on your laptop with the set of the headphones, because it actually puts you in that Zoom call, and that's the most terrifying portion of it. Because again, it feels like, oh God, I've gone through this with my friends, I've gone through this at work, and this is the worst possible thing that can happen. So if you suspend that disbelief, and again, you just watch a really amazing little horror film.
Interesting. So
yeah.
I'm not going to go on any Zoom calls where they're doing seances. I know that much. That's just rule number one.
My
when I
lesson
do a
with
video.
Witchboard.
Yep.
Well, the movie I absolutely just adored this year, I would just say, was The Social Dilemma. It did come out in January, which usually that's the month that movies come out to die. But The Social Dilemma, the documentary that was directed by Jeff Orlowski, who the producer was Larissa Rhodes, and the synopsis basically was that these are just tech experts that are being interviewed to sound the alarm about the dangerous consumption of what social media was and how it wasn't intended that way, but the human impact of it all. So to me, right away, I don't like social media. We were talking about this the other night. I don't like certain aspects of social media where there's some people who look at social media as all good and can do no wrong. I'm not that guy. I can see probably more of a 60-40 bad uses of it, 60% of it being used poorly, and only 40% of it perhaps maybe being used for good, because you got people writing fake profiles to boost people's likeage. They'll pay for bots to get likeage and all this other stuff. It's like, so if all that's
Misinformation.
happening, it's misinformation. None of it's real. You can't trust
being
it.
paid with good intentions.
Yes, and so the idea that these guys, there was a statement that was said in this documentary, I loved it, where they said there's only two organizations that describe their customers as end users, and it's technology and illegal drugs. People who sell illegal drugs, right? Wow. And I thought that was huge. And so here, they also said in this film, it was great, this documentary, because they talked about how if you get something for free, you're the product. And so now what was happening is that you have all these people that are these advertisers or the customers, and then we're the products. Yeah. That was pretty hardcore to watch all that. And so to keep it from being just a straight documentary with just talking heads talking about what they did, and they had the main architects of people from Twitter, Pinterest, Facebook, all of them who aren't working there now were willing to share, like, hey, this is the reason why we got involved. We didn't know it was going to be used this way. We thought we had to help monetize a platform that's free, because they were all trying to figure out. They created the platform way before they had a business model of how they were going to make money. Yeah. And this was the only way that they could figure, these very smart people, to figure out how do we monetize this and make money. Oh, this is how. And it turns out us, the people that are on it, are the people that are getting used. And we're not even getting paid, right? So then they asked the big question, then who is accountable for this menace to go on, and then what do we do about it? So I love that the film goes through it, carries it, also uses a little inside the documentary is a little story of a family that they created to try to show the effect rather than just talk about it. And I thought it was cool how they had the little family in there illustrating how what it does to a 14-year-old girl who she's still trying to get used to her body and her figure and who she is, and how if she doesn't get enough likes, will then to get depressed, and the addictive nature of it and everything, and how you can put people together real fast. To go show up anywhere and be disruptive, because you can find people who think what you think. And so this thing has got so many layers to it, but I thought it was really incredible. It could have been a horror movie as well, because it's real. But then what gave me hope was just seeing all these data scientists and all these digital architects saying, hey, we want to create the ethical standard for this, because there was never a standard created for it, because they assumed everybody was going to be ethical with it. But now they have a composium of folks who get together, and that's what their job is to do, is to now set up principles to say, hey, would this be ethical and fair for someone to be doing this sort of thing? And then can we get some disclaimers or something out there so people can be warned, at least know what they're stepping into on some of this. And so to see that they would do that. But what was really telling about this film was at the end, they asked all of them after the credits run, they put on a couple of segments that didn't make the actual documentary itself, but are making it as post-credit scenes. One of the interviewers said, so would you let your kids use social media? And he said, no.
Absolutely not.
He said, absolutely not. And I thought, wow, this is the guy who created this stuff, who knows the danger of it, saying no. Because of that, I don't even want my kids even on it. We won't have that on their phones at all. He said no, he wouldn't do it. So the reality of that, and then just knowing some of the scams, how they fixed political things by
the data mining is insidious, man.
Oh, it very much is. And the
your
AI
phones can tell what you're buying, what you're consuming, and they take all that information.
Yeah, and then that data gets sold.
Yeah.
They sell it and sell it and sell it and sell it again. You're giving them free information that really you should, if you're going to sell your information, you should get paid. But no, they'll take it and they'll sell it. And then anybody who wants to do anything, whether it's good or nefarious.
That's why you'll talk about some, next thing you know, on Facebook is pushing an ad for that to you.
Yeah.
Like, how the fuck did they know?
Yeah.
They know.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then they know what times.
That's why I'll never get one of those Alexas or those things where you have talk to
Alexa, yeah.
You got a microphone in your house that somebody can listen to anytime they want to.
Yeah,
that's conspiracy stuff. But
right, my phone's listening
happens.
enough to me, man. You don't need 24-hour access to me.
That's right. And if I'm a starving actor, if they're going to listen to me, I want it to be the directors of big films. If I'm a starving actor, I want you all to hear my conversation to know. No, but they won't use it for that. It's always got to be the bad stuff. So yeah, the social dilemma. I think this is a pretty big wake up call, because I think sometimes people are just really too trusting about just sharing what they share out there.
Exactly.
And you got to know. You just don't need to. Everybody doesn't need to know your business. It's really for your own safety so much as not just trying to be an introvert, but just you never know what you're putting out there that somebody else is getting and collecting, and then they create a database, and then of course they sell it to as many people as they can, and then you're getting bombarded by all these people who are sending information. So very good film. I think it's a definite watch for people. So that was my favorite film of the year. So
some great films.
With that, and that's a great set.